My name is Rick Vermicombe, and on behalf of the Minnesota Club, Minneapolis Club, outside Minnesota, and my group, Club Entrepreneur, welcome to our workshop on due diligence and valuations. Our focus today will be on how to improve your chances for success when buying or selling a business, making investment decisions, and even researching partnership and employment opportunities. Our panel of experts will cover areas such as law, patents, technology, finance, and accounting, and will discuss conducting due diligence, common mistakes made during due diligence, and what businesses are worth. To help companies with this often misunderstood area, Upside Minnesota and Club Entrepreneur have assembled today's event and a panel of experts who can serve as your trusted advisors. Upside Minnesota is a how-to magazine devoted to helping business owners build bigger and more profitable companies. The magazine's publisher, Wes Bergstrom, Wes, I think you're sitting in the middle here, wave to everyone, and its editor, Beth Ewan, who's right over here in front of me, are both here today, so please introduce yourself, say hi to them after today's event. Club Entrepreneur and my firm, Vermicombe & Associates, support folks like you by helping refine strategies, assemble resources, and secure funding. In our joint effort to provide actionable content, Outside Minnesota and Club Entrepreneur offer you today's panel. As such, I want to introduce you to our event sponsors. Corporate Finance Associates, a mergers and acquisition firm. DS&B, CPAs and business advisors. Elmuth & Johnson, a general practice law firm. L. Harris Partners, a financial and strategic consulting firm. Schwegman, Lumber, Woosner, intellectual property law firm. Tech Guru, a technology advisory firm. So thank you very much to our sponsors for participating. So with that, let's get on to our panelists. We're going to go alphabetical to my left, starting closest to me. Joe Beckman is attorney at Elmuth & Johnson. Sean Boland is managing principal at DS&B. Tim Grathwall is attorney at Schwegman, Lumber, Woosner. Jeff Johnson is a partner at L. Harris Partners. Dan Moshe is founder of Tech Guru. And Jeff Wright is an investment banker at Corporate Finance Associates. Now that we've been introduced to everyone, let's hear from them as to how they fit into the discussion about due diligence and valuations. And panelists, will you each please share a little bit about your bio and background? And let's start with you, Joe.
Okay, thanks a lot, Rick. Everybody hear me okay? Very good. My name is Joe Beckman, and maybe the way I should start out is by helping you with your due diligence on me. And the way to do that, I got to share a terrible secret, and that's that I need to be in 2 12-step programs. The easier of the two is that I'm a recovering trial lawyer. The one that I don't think I'll ever be able to cure is that I'm a diehard Cubs fan. So that's good. And I'll explain the first part because that's part of my background and how I wound up here. I'm originally from Chicago, which some of you may have already put together. I practiced there for 8 years doing large, complex commercial litigation for a firm that has since merged with 2 others, but it was about 250 when I was there. Lord Bissell & Brooke was its name. There I did a lot of business divorce cases. So I saw these things at the back end when the partners who loved each other at the beginning, the marriage hadn't quite worked out. We had a sojourn to Montana for 4 years where my wife gave birth to 2 wonderful blonde sons. So I haven't quite figured that part out. And then we wound up back here literally about 6 blocks from our first date around the time of the year 2000 bug. Since year 2000, that's when I was cured of the trial lawyer situation. By a number of circumstances, I wound up in the general counsel chair for a couple of publicly traded companies in town, one of which has, again, gone the way of the dodo. The other one you may have heard of, Digital River out in Eden Prairie. I was their first on-site lawyer, and when I was there, we went on a 3-year acquisition binge. I did a quick mental count. I integrated 3 that were bought within a couple months before I got there. We put out between 15 and 20 LOIs during that period and closed 7 of those acquisitions, both domestically and internationally, ranging from about $1 million to $150 million a pop. It's not really that different, whether it's $1 million or 150 million, I hate to say. I've been with Helmuth & Johnson for 7 years. It says we're a general practice law firm. I'm the chair of the business department. The chair of our corporate finance group, Dean Edstrom, is actually there. He's the guy who raises the money, because I'm not going to do that SEC stuff. It gets me very, very nervous. We also have real estate, litigation, technology groups, employment law, and that was my buzzer. I've used 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I'll save 15 for later.
All right, Sean.
Sean Boland from DSMB. We try to get our clients the resources to make their lives easy. Anything they want to do, whether it's golf, hunt, fish, go on vacations, we try and help them with that. Through effective communication, proactive tax advisory, cash flow spending, and we're accessible. 24 hours a day, we got our cell phones with us, text, emails, return phone calls, no matter what. We're a 42-person CPA firm, right next door in the old Campbell Methuen Tower. Piper Jaffray before that. I'm not sure what the new name is today. We deal in the manufacturing space, the healthcare space, real estate space, franchise, and construction. And that's enough about DSMB. Our role in the due diligence, we get in and kick the tires. Whether it's a $500,000 deal, $5 million deal, or a $500 million deal. We'll get in and kick the tires around doing the heavy lifting from the accounting standpoint. That's enough about Sean Boland and DSMB.
Tim?
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Grathwell. I'm a patent attorney at Schwegman, Lumberg, and Woosner. So what does that mean? It means I'm a glutton for punishment because I endured an undergraduate in mechanical engineering and voluntarily attended law school. Not sure what that says about me and my personality, but my firm is what we call a boutique IP firm, meaning that we're specialists, and we do everything short of litigation, first-year litigation. So we do assist or counsel clients in situations in which patents are being enforced against them or they want to enforce a patent against someone else, but we do not go to court. So my background is, like I said, mechanical engineering. I have experience in a wide variety of technologies, from mechanical, medical device, networking and software, and a lot of different specific applications. And I also teach a class at William Mitchell. I'm an adjunct professor there. I teach a class on patent prosecution, which is what we call what a patent attorney typically does. In terms of due diligence, we come in to kick the tires on the IP. So IP, broadly speaking, is a category or a type of legal right that we carve out in the law. And there's a lot of different types of IP, as I'm sure many of you are aware: patents, copyrights, trademarks, trade secrets. Okay. And so in a due diligence, we're looking at either if we're selling your company, we're looking at what you have and whether or not your ducks are in a row in terms of that stuff, in terms of the intellectual property that you own. And if we're purchasing a company, we're making sure that they put their ducks in a row, as well as looking at the technology and evaluating it versus competitors and competitor IP and risks associated with that.
Thanks. I'm a recovering CPA, and I'm also a Kelp fan, so I'm originally from Illinois as well, so you guys are in trouble up here in Minnesota. L. Harris Partners is a consulting firm. We spend a lot of time in what we term value creation. We take a little different approach. We get involved before the transaction to help business owners be prepared for the use of these fellows on this side so they can maximize your value at the date of the transaction. We serve businesses of all sizes. We've actually been owners of businesses as well as helped other people manage businesses. My background, I started in Chicago in one of the big four firms. my only client became a private equity firm, so I spent 6-7 years doing private equity. Learned early on as a 29-year-old kid about Ponzi schemes and put my boss in jail, which is quite fun. And then I went back to one of the Big Six firms, ran the national consulting group. My focus is really strategy, strategic type consulting, mergers and acquisition, value creation. Completed probably 200 to 300 due diligence projects, and a little different than my CPA counterpart over here. I really focus on the quantitative, non-quantitative, more of the qualitative from a private equity standpoint, when we look at it about management teams or the lack thereof. And so I really look at, when we do these types of transactions, what we do is help business owners not have the issues that I've seen hundreds and hundreds of times before.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah. Thanks, Rick. So, in the summer of 1999, when all my friends were going off to summer camps to sing campfire songs and grow canoes, I went to a summer camp for nerds and learned how to build a computer. And that's where it all began, in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So today, Tech Guru, the Caring Technology Company, starts all of our engagements, in fact, with a due diligence process, a technology assessment, where we help our clients understand where they're at, and then we align technology vision with the business vision, and then do a gap analysis to help them get where they want to go. We then will implement those recommendations and manage and support them on an ongoing basis. And what was the name of the camp? It was at it's the UW Eau Claire Summer Science Institute. And I thought I knew everything there was to know about computers back then, because of course I knew everything back then. And leveraged that experience to get my first job in a local computer place that I knew nothing more about other than it had a computer and a sign. That was a good investment for the folks. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Dan. Jeff.
Good morning still. Jeff Wright, partner at Corporate Finance Associates, and in keeping with the theme that we seem to be running here, I was born in Chicago, but I only lived there 6 months as a baby, so I'm not a Cubs fan. And in terms of 12-step programs, I'm a recovering ad guy. I started my career at Procter & Gamble and got into the advertising business, bought a small agency, grew it to be fairly substantial, sold it, merged it into another company to create what is today maybe the largest agency in the upper Midwest, Periscope. I'm finding that the advertising and marketing background is quite handy when we're marketing and selling a privately owned company. I've been a full-time investment banker for about 4 years. My partner John Hammond is here today, who founded our office and has been a full-time investment banker for about 15 years. Corporate Finance Associates, I think it's kind of the best of both worlds. We are part of a national group. We've been around for about 60 years. In the lower middle market M&A world. We've got 21 offices and a lot of corporate support through our network, but we run the Minneapolis office very independently. We have 3 senior deal makers and a couple support people, and we work with privately held companies in $5 million to $100 million range, founders usually, family businesses, and help them run a process to maximize their value. We're FINRA licensed and provide a lot of sophisticated services to something of an underserved niche. In terms of where we fit into the value lens here, our job is to maximize value. We certainly understand how to do valuations. We do a valuation exercise for every prospect so that we get aligned before we take on an assignment. But through our process, our goal is to maximize that value and play to their strengths and where they've created value and create a competitive auction environment so that they can realize a life's worth of work when they exit.
Great, thank you. All right, so as far as how I structured the day today, first part, I'm going to go through about 5 or 6 minutes with each one of the panelists for them to dive into their respective categories, and then we can open it up to questions from the audience. I have a bunch of questions here, but I would like to hear from the audience as well. So after we get a chance to kind of go back through everyone and kind of hear in a little bit more detail on our topic, we'll give you all a chance to chime in with any of the questions that you have. So I guess it works the first time going to my immediate left and further to the left. So Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your part of the topic committee?
And actually, you know, as I was listening, I realized I talked so much about myself, I didn't say what my role is in due diligence. I'm kind of the tail on the dog in that regard, because oftentimes we'll get involved when the LOI has been signed, or sometimes before, and the due diligence is sort of like all the ingredients, and they come to me and they say, okay, we want to put this into a pie. How do we do it? So that's the documentation that I do. However, as you heard from kind of my background, there are things that I found. It's sort of like Groundhog Day, I guess. I got out of trial work because I was tired of the postmortem. Well, in the due diligence, I am kind of the postmortem. And so I came up with 3 questions, and I'll try and cover all of them in the remaining 4 minutes that I've got. The first one is, put yourself 6 months from close, and what are the 3 things clients say, I wish I'd done that differently in the due diligence process? Second one is, what are the 3 most important areas where my services might be leveraged at the outset? And the third one was, what are the 3 biggest risks, good versus bad, that you might look for, sniff out, or otherwise address in the due diligence process? So that way, when it comes time for me to kind of put those ingredients into the pie, you've got an even mix, and it's just not all sugar or not all flour or whatever else my wife would tell me goes into a pie, because I think it's Mrs. Smith in the frozen aisle. Actually, I make more money now. I go to Baker Square, I guess it's called. Alrighty. 3 things I wish I had done differently post-closing, and these real big one from due diligence is I pay attention to assignment provisions in contracts now, because, oh, I've got all this stuff, and then you find out that 40% of the revenue has contracts that can't be assigned in a deal. Big problem. The second thing that people say, and this is all about me again, is, golly, I wish I talked to you when I was starting the NDA process, or more so the LOI process, because that's something that gets done, and folks are so anxious to get signed and move forward, they don't realize they box themselves in, and suddenly they can't use the cherries or the apples they wanted, and they're going to have to make a lemon pie. They're still hungry, but they get a sour face. The third thing is that, and again, coming back from my experience at the public company, is be mindful of integration issues. And folks down here at the end can tell you a lot about that. But that's one of the things that it gets to my desk, and they're like, you know, we got this problem that we don't know how the front-end software is going to talk to the back-end software, and now they're telling us that's a $500,000 fix. Now, we could have built a protection into your letter of intent to give you a chance to bump the price up, or maybe done something with an earn-out on the front end. Again, concepts that folks to the left are very familiar with, but that devil's in the details when it's time to sign. In the same way, I'm not going to tell you what the multiple should be, or how to factor the valuation. You know, my friends to the left probably wouldn't say, this is how you need to phrase your earn-out. Because, you know, I'm not going to practice finance, and generally speaking, I might be a little more suited, except maybe Tim here, to practice the wording of what your deal is. I think I've still got a little bit of time left. So, 3 most important areas where I can be leveraged at the outset. Get me involved. Definitely either when you're sending the first draft of the letter of intent, or when you're responding to it. Because that's when you can, again, make sure that you have all the ingredients available when it's time to bake the pie. You know, generally speaking, if you have the choice, don't agree to let the other side do the first draft of the purchase agreement, whether you're buyer or seller, because you can be guaranteed it's going to be, oh God, way out of the picture, or, oh God, Sean's really getting tired of me. You want to start on your side, and you're going to finish in the middle more likely than not. Understand the 80-20 rule. And that is, 80% of that revenue is usually 20% of the business, and focus your due diligence on those big pieces. Nothing worse than having everything perfect except you lost one of the top 5 contracts within 6 months. Or get held up because of that assignment provision. Somebody goes, I've got one right now. Ooh, I got a chance to leverage this thing because I'm going to tell them I'm not going to agree to assignment. Good versus bad. They say put more back-end protection in your documents up front. The other thing that people say is, I wish I hadn't been so impatient to just get it closed. If I had done one more rev, I would have probably saved us a lot of pain. The ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is what my mom used to say. I still don't understand what that means, but one extra draft to get it right probably makes sense. And then the last thing I hear is we should have put more money into escrow or into an indemnity basket or into an earnout. Again, I got 30 seconds left. What I find is that there's an impatience. We want to get it closed. We want to get it closed. I want that check. I'm going on vacation next week. And